Hello, guys. Welcome again to Toloda podcast YouTube channel. And today we're gonna be discussing about monkeypox. Before we start, please share, subscribe, uh, like, and also interact with us on the comments, critique, also motivate us. Uh, Without further ado, let's start. So of late, there's been talks of a new virus. I wouldn't say it's a new virus. It's a virus that has been there, but it had gone away, which is monkeypox, and it has now resurfaced again. And there is this worry that it might become another COVID, and you know the fact that it's also a virus, people are a bit afraid, and people are very wary of the vaccines, especially after COVID. So when I was looking at monkeypox, I came to realize that it's like a weaker version of smallpox, but it's a zoonotic virus in terms of that it comes from an animal to a human, or let's say it affects animals and humans, and we also remember COVID had the same kind of narrative. But looking at monkeypox by itself, uh, it was first like discovered in the 1960s, and it is mainly it was discovered in the West African side, the DRC Congo, the Gambia. Since there people have a culture of interacting with animals, especially in terms of feeding. You know, the people there culturally they feed on animals like birds, squirrel, pangolins, and other different kind of animals. So it was first discovered in the 1960s, but they came to realize that also smallpox vaccine can work against it. So it was again suppressed. Then it has been reappearing slowly by, it comes out sometimes and then it's suppressed. But that's how its life cycle has been going. It's not like it's a new outbreak. And then in the early 2003 there, it was discovered again in America, and from from an animal, uh, and then it made its way to humans, and that was also another outbreak outside of West Africa. That was the first outbreak outside of West Africa, and then it was suppressed. And now, then again, we come to 2022. It has reappeared again, and I think the main issue here is why is it being a big issue right now? I feel it's being a big issue because after COVID, people have become very wary of these outbreaks and viruses. So it's easy for, I don't know. I feel it's like right now people are more cautious. If you hear any disease, it, and also the media and everything takes it out of proportion. I'm not saying it's not a serious issue, but the fact that right now, because before COVID, you could hear these diseases and probably people wouldn't care that much. But now there's a very big issue. And like something like I'd say like monkeypox. It's not. You can't conceal it because you get rashes, the lymph nodes, and there's fever, and even the way it can be transmitted is through fluids. So if you get monkeypox, it's a very visible disease, and I think also on the person that has it, it doesn't look like it looks like something nasty, something out of a horror movie. So I would say there's an outbreak, but I feel unless it imitates, but I feel it doesn't have the severity like COVID. I feel like the only severity it has it probably is through spreading. But in terms of bringing the paralysis that we saw with COVID, I think things cannot reach that level. Although I don't want to be to say that I'm sure, but comparing and the fact that there's already a vaccine that's working. If you have a smallpox vaccine, high chances you can't get monkeypox. because they are like in the same family. I don't know what you think.
Yeah. I think, like you said, monkeypox is something that was discovered
Uh-huh.
much earlier than even this century, and
Yeah.
because of COVID coming out and lasting almost 3 years,
Mm.
and social media, people, you go on a platform like TikTok and you see that people are posting themselves in bed with those bumps on their skin
Mm-hmm.
because of monkeypox, and it's making people, over worry more than it actually is,
Mm-hmm.
because monkeypox is something that it's not a huge threat as much as something like Ebola or the way COVID
Mm-hmm.
was discovered. And like you said, there's also vaccines that can treat monkeypox that are already there that
Mm-hmm.
can probably be improved. And also monkeypox is not something that has really crippled and spread out and crippled the economy the way COVID did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of social media, that's why we're even hearing about monkeypox. You never know. Maybe monkeypox, people have been getting monkeypox for a while. Maybe we
Mm-hmm.
don't know those stories, kept under wraps.
Mm-hmm.
But because of social media, it's very easy for people to just post and say, "Oh, there's an outbreak of monkeypox after COVID. It's going to be the new COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cripple the economy." And you see, even right now, things are back to normal. Monkeypox has not been as serious as COVID, as people blow out of proportion
Mm-hmm.
that it would be. And if you think about it, I think this virus is the way people, eat bushmeat and hunt wild animals and eat them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that has probably been happening for a very long time, and probably because of modern civilization, people living in cities and places that require things like sewage and places that require hygiene. You find that because people are crowded in one area and the way those animals are being stored, probably people who lived in like bushmen, bushmen probably eat all these sorts of meats like snakes,
Mm-hmm.
uh, even those pangolins and bats, but they don't get those diseases.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why there's an outbreak of something like monkeypox is because if you look at how the wild animal, those bushmeat traders, how they store their animals, they store them enclosed together in a small area, and it doesn't give the animal, space to maneuver and move around. And then it's easier for an infected animal to infect other healthy animals, and then because of the small area, the infected animal also infects a human being who's also close by, and then
Mm-hmm.
that cycle, you spread it from one person to another through fluids, through touch, and
Mm-hmm.
then in a short span of time, you find that someone has monkeypox and is on an aeroplane going to UK or US, and then that person spreads it to someone, to someone, to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the things that our society, like Bill Gates was saying, we're not prepared for an outbreak of a serious disease in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why something like COVID made us, it locked down the whole world. And COVID didn't choose if you're rich or poor. Anyone could get it at any time. And so you find that the fact that monkeypox is a thing, it just
Mm-hmm.
shows us that there's still more to come. People are saying because of global warming, there are diseases that have been frozen for a long time in the Arctics,
Mm-hmm.
and those diseases might come up, and we haven't dealt with extinct diseases before. But I think I don't know what's going to happen, because I think if you look at the aftermath of COVID, like in Kenya, there's no like precautions being taken. Maybe how can we say, like more education being spread out about disease outbreaks. You
Mm-hmm.
don't hear that now. It's back to normal, back to normal business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think uh, probably other countries like China and US and Europe are very prepared for the next outbreak. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, and I also think these outbreaks have been spreading because of we're at a point where the population of humans is growing, and also the means of travel are becoming easier and easier. So you find out with a bigger population, and you can move around the world very easily. So it also increases the chances of spreading this disease, because something like COVID, when you see at the data, it was easily spread through the planes, especially the
Yeah,
fact
yeah.
that the Wuhan airport, it had direct flights to New York. So a lot of travelers were going to New York. That's why New York was one of the cities that had a large number of people who were affected by the COVID. So with this large population, which is now becoming more economically, the large population in the world is more economically better than the way 100 years ago probably people were. I think
Yes.
if you find a situation where even if people have a disease like monkeypox, and it can find itself in Britain, in America, and because now the social media news, it's easy to blow out of proportion and create a doomsday kind of scenario. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't be worried, but it's easy to
we should try and
yeah, and
we should try and assess the situation much better,
yeah,
and not just spread out of
propaganda.
proportion
Yeah,
propaganda. Yeah.
and I can give an example. Like last week, I was seeing there is an outbreak of polio in America, in a state in America. You see something like that. 10 years ago, you probably could have never known, but now because of media, social media, it's easier. Even something like polio, polio is something that countries like America thought they eradicated a long time ago. But now the fact there's an outbreak and you know about it, it creates that kind of doomsday out of fear scenario. But now the issue comes with, when it comes to diseases like these diseases, you can't keep quiet. That's another thing. You have to spread around no matter how small the issue is, you have to, to spread awareness, because people have invested also.
Yeah, and I think the fact that someone wants to constantly share everything that's happening, I think it attributes to the fact that these social media platforms are designed for someone to seek followers and seek approval, and constantly just seek this this kind of approval where you just want to be always trending. So people will constantly just share and share, and even if it's one case out of the world, people will repost it. People will send it to each other and make it seem like the world is going to end. But if you look, when you go outside, nothing is really happening like that. Everything is like this whole scenario of smallpox is real. No, not smallpox is real, but smallpox is something that's going to devastate the world again. It exists on social media, but in the real world, smallpox is something that has already been
Monkeypox.
contained, and it's not. I mean, monkeypox. Yes,
Yeah.
it's not something that has gone out of control the way COVID did. And something like COVID, it went out of control because the symptoms weren't as visible as something like smallpox. COVID was just it was like a flu. When you have a flu, it's normal to cough and sneeze, but COVID wasn't something that could be detected visibly, like the way monkeypox is detected visibly with the bumps on the skin. So I think as people are going on, like you said, even the population, people are moving into cities more and more, and it's causing people to be close to each other. Even when you walk in the CBD, you find that you're very close to one another when you're walking home or not walking home, but walking to board a vehicle to go home. And it's the same thing in places like UK and New York, places that the whole world is constantly moving to and moving to and fro. And that's what is creating this scare. People are scared because when in those populated areas, they're afraid of contracting the disease. But I think awareness will be made better in the future because social media is really blowing things out of proportion.
And you also in that age of you don't trust if it's real, it's real information. You don't trust if monkeypox is natural. We also in that like what can I say, uh, biolabs kind of era where even monkeypox can be something that can. And the other issue is what the biggest risk is mutation. This thing can mutate and become another thing. So I think that's the big, even the bigger issue is not about monkeypox. What can it do next? Because you have to remember that a disease like COVID was SARS. SARS, the one that was in China in the early 2000s, and it was dealt with. And then now SARS now, mutated into COVID, into something very different. So you have to ask ourselves: if we continue getting these outbreaks of monkeypox, where is it leading? Because it's not going to be monkeypox outbreak like continuous. At one point, something has to give in, and you never know. It might bring about another issue. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think that the issue we have, the issue why people are very scared of these outbreaks is because there's no preparedness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of preparedness for things like war and
Yeah.
weapons kind of attacks
Yeah.
and things like that. But there's no preparedness for something you cannot see with your eyes.
Yeah.
And that's what's really scaring people.
Mhm.
And that's why people probably are also, as much as they're blowing things out of proportion, that's why they're constantly sharing these things, so that you can be aware that we are not even prepared for diseases and viruses, and we're not prepared for mutations, like you've said, of old viruses and old diseases. And keeping people, the lack of preparedness of governments, especially the African governments, it keeps us very vulnerable. And if you look at these diseases like monkeypox, the tropical type of diseases, even up to now in Africa, we still haven't. Okay, there's a lot of coverage of, how do we say, like they've tried to mitigate this kind of viruses and diseases so that they cannot break out. But still, these are things that are constantly, like you said, they're constantly changing, mutating, and maybe they're working on it now. We don't know. I haven't followed any news about facilities being created for monitoring things like outbreaks. But I think as as people are going on, people don't know what's going to happen next. Like COVID just came out. COVID just came out, and no one knew how crazy it was going to be. It was from 2020, till 2020, till this year around January.
And I also feel like third world countries are the ones that are gonna suffer when it comes to, let's say, diseases like monkeypox, COVID, and other diseases that come, because you find like right now you find like COVID happened, and most of the countries that were affected were Europe and America. But another thing that happened is that there was a high demand for nurses and doctors. So even nurses and doctors, if you're a nurse and doctors and you're in Africa and you have your credential, your license, you migrate to Europe or to America. So that leaves Africa with no structures of healthcare, because regardless of how much money you put in healthcare, the doctors and the nurses are like the primary the primary foundation of the healthcare. Remember, we are seeing how also Zimbabwe, like, its healthcare is on the verge of collapse because all doctors and nurses are moving to Britain. So that also puts a question of these diseases, when they come, are they going, some countries will be more disadvantaged than others. Even now, they're more disadvantaged. You can't compare the health systems of Africa with Europe and America. So what happens when even a disease comes? If these countries, if there's a lot of brain drain, and I can't blame the European or the American countries. I feel like us as the third world countries, or the African countries, they're not so developed. Also, a third world is more. It's not a good term, but either way, why are people, that's the biggest question we need to ask. Like, remember, like, after COVID last year, the Minister of Health in Kenya was saying that a lot of Kenyan nurses and doctors are not being accepted in Britain hospitals because they are failing the English test. They can't speak in English very well, they can't write in English. And people are saying, how comes doctors in Kenya can't do that? But me, my worry was, my issue wasn't that why can't we qualify for doctors to work in Britain. My worry was, is the government of Kenya seriously encouraging their own doctors to go and work abroad, and their health system is still in shambles?
Still in shambles.
Yeah. Because why is the Minister of Health saying that they are trying their best to make sure doctors in Kenya go and work in Britain? What kind of statement is that? I thought you are the one who should be even doing up and down to encourage the doctors in Kenya are well remunerated, they have their wages well, they
Mm.
have their allowances well, so that they can stay in Kenya. And also the ones who are graduating out of college can feel incentivized to stay in Kenya and continue doing medical work. But when you say that people are failing, it's like you're trying to say that you're openly admitting that we're encouraging people to work, and then when
Yeah,
our healthcare system is this fragile, we wonder why it's behaving like this. This is the whole Minister of Health.
yeah, and you see that just shows that even in the top level, especially in Kenya,
Yeah.
especially in Kenya, you find that even at the top level, people are not organized. People don't know the severity or the seriousness of
Mm-hmm.
things like COVID or anything. Everything is taken as a joke. We're not taking anything seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, that's how everything is run. A simple thing like matatus. Matatus are the most, they are the easiest way of transport, but they're most uncomfortable form of transport.
Mm-hmm.
The way roads are being built, everything in Kenya is not being taken as seriously as it should.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as the top people are getting their money and they're getting paid and their family is okay,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really matter what happens to the rest of the population,
Mm-hmm.
because even the resources they have, even if they decided to work, they'll work very hard to try and get people uh, to be prepared, or to try and invest in this institution so that we
Mm-hmm.
can be prepared. I think the thing that they don't want is the workload. To build hospitals and facilities is a lot of money. It needs a lot of resources. It takes years and years, and these are things we are still not investing in even now. If you look at other countries, they've been investing in disease investigations and disease research for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the lack of preparedness is just people not wanting to do anything about it. It's not that they can't, it's just that they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see even something like COVID, you had to wait until the other countries released the vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that time you needed to be home at was it 7
7, yeah.
p.m. at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like many businesses shut down, people lost money, everything was going crazy. Even
Mm-hmm.
some businesses, like I remember there's a supermarket in Naiva, in Westgate Mall. It was
Mm-hmm.
ShopRite. It was closed down. It was a very good supermarket
Mm-hmm. But it
because
fell it
there
fell
was
down because of
no,
COVID.
yeah, it fell down because of COVID, and there was no like policies set in place to kind of mitigate the businesses
Mm-hmm.
that shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Many people, you even had many people were selling groceries. People who
Mm-hmm.
worked in offices were selling groceries, and that's because we were waiting for the US
Mm-hmm.
and the other countries to release a vaccine. While
Mm-hmm.
there in the US, things were continuing as normal.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take a long time for the Americans to even stop wearing masks and go as usual, everything as usual. But here in Africa, we're always the ones who are hit the hardest, but we never even wake up and prepare for the next.
And one one thing I found interesting about that COVID situation is because uh, these countries were hit the most by COVID, but they recovered more faster than us. That doesn't make sense.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
and you and you
that
look
doesn't make sense.
and if you look at a situation, I don't want us to talk so much about COVID because I know we'll get into that on the next
Oh
chapter.
yeah, yeah.
But
We're
but
talking about monkeypox, but but
but,
but, but it's more about how we
but,
don't
but,
we're
but
not
it goes
prepared
through the
for
same
such.
level. If monkeypox was out to blow out, if it was to blow out of proportion, uh, the same
Mm.
script would play again. There won't be
Would
any
play
difference.
again, yeah.
Yeah, that's they'll be
Yeah,
just
we'd be waiting for the West or the East to make us free vaccines, and
free
then
vaccine.
because even if you think about it, and us, even us, even the people at the top took full advantage of COVID. We because us, we are like a trending topic on Twitter. When something is happening, people take advantage. You remember when Jack Ma
Mhm.
donated millions worth of equipment
Equipment,
for
yeah,
people to use to protect themselves
and they were
against
looted.
COVID. Yeah, and they were looted. And that's the same thing that would happen for monkeypox. Even
Yeah,
monkeypox is worse. You have to see and feel it on your skin.
yeah.
That industry of people taking advantage
Mm-hmm.
and stealing just to because when there's, for example, when there's something like a disease and the only thing you can protect yourself with is a certain piece of cloth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that cloth will be sold for a lot of money. I
Mm-hmm.
remember even the masks were being sold for 100 shillings,
Mm-hmm.
and they went down up to 10 shillings at some point
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, it was
It was
a
more of a
trending
business
thing.
scheme.
So I think yeah, it was a business. I think the preparedness of people was very low for any
Yeah.
sort of disease.
Yeah,
The
and even if you
preparedness
look
is
at
really
the
very,
Kenyan
very
media,
low.
it's not showing anything mostly about monkeypox. You know, the medias that
Mm,
are showing are more international, but the Kenyan media is
yeah,
not. So monkeypox
it's
is
back
not
to
an issue
uh,
until it
it's not an
becomes
issue
an issue.
yet. Yeah, until
Yeah,
it becomes an issue. Yeah,
yeah.
and and I don't know why. I don't know. I think even us as a population, I think that's why even there's a lot of brain drain, because you find that the system is there's a blueprint for how system should work in Kenya,
Mm-hmm,
but it's not being applied. You know, and that's why people prefer to be nurses in US, because if you're a nurse in Kenya and something like monkeypox comes out and you contract it as a nurse,
mm-hmm,
there's probably no compensation for the nurse who gets monkeypox.
mm-hmm,
But in the other countries, you find that there's compensation. That's why even so many nurses went abroad, because the salary was very high.
mm-hmm.
The what is it called,
The
the
allowances,
allowances and things like that.
the
Yeah, and in
exposure.
Kenya you find that, yeah, and in Kenya you see we still have cases of doctors striking.
Mm. You know,
Doctors are not
I
being
had a
paid.
friend who
Sometimes there are no drugs.
I had a friend who, she works at Kenyatta, and he was telling me that even medical equipment, to handle patient was in low supply, you know,
Mm,
and that's
mm,
like a national hospital, that's not like
mm.
a
That's supposed to be the front line.
next door clinic. That's like a national hospital. You expect
Mm,
everything to,
mm,
to be sorted out, but it
mm,
is what it is. At the end of the day, I feel like
mm,
I feel like there's some people who just took the situation and they learned from it, and I'm sure if COVID
mm,
or some such an outbreak was to happen again, I'm sure there are countries that wouldn't even, things won't change that,
yeah, yeah. Things won't
yeah,
change. Yeah,
yeah. And I feel that,
there's no lesson learned.
yeah, but I feel like especially in let's say in Europe, in a country like China, Taiwan also,
Mm,
during
mm,
COVID, Taiwan was ahead. Uh, but when once again, like even in Africa, I feel like countries that were hit. If you look at a country like Liberia, which was hit by Ebola, Liberia is not a
mm,
developed country; it's like a poor country, but it was hit
mm,
by Ebola.
yeah.
But
Mm,
Ebola has been occurring in Liberia, but it has been already, it's been controlled. But the first time that when Ebola hit Liberia, really good, hey, there was a lot of destruction. You remember even that time Kenya closed its
mm,
border with Uganda, Uganda closed
yeah,
its border,
yeah,
and
yeah.
after that, you know, Liberia right now doesn't joke when it comes to this kind of thing. So to me, I don't feel even a
Mm,
country should be that rich or that. I feel it's just that it should make the structures work. And right now, even outbreaks, and Ebola is way more serious than COVID, but how Liberia dealt with
mm,
Ebola was on another level. And
mm, mm.
I don't know. It's sad that sometimes something has to be that catastrophic for people to change their behavior.
For people to wake up,
Or
yeah.
yeah, or learn from them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because COVID wasn't as catastrophic as Ebola, because you could recover. People could recover from COVID
Mm-hmm.
even if they didn't have the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that even that time, even that concept wasn't being promoted that much in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
People promoted that COVID, you'll die. But if you look at like America, I remember that time I was looking at videos from US, you find that people are getting COVID and they're just staying in the house and they're
Mm-hmm.
recovering and going back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
But in Kenya, we used that COVID as a tool to make people probably spend money. There was even that time where people were in high schools as
Mm-hmm.
a quarantine area, and they had to
Mm-hmm.
pay for every day they stayed there for 2 weeks mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we always take things as a joke. That's like joking with someone's life,
Mm-hmm.
because all you want to do is to profit. And if bad situations will make people want to profit of them,
Mm-hmm.
that makes us very unprepared for any serious situation. if Ebola broke out in Kenya in the middle of Nairobi, I think we'd be very devastated, and I think many people will be, many people will lose their lives because there's no preparedness. And
Yeah.
monkeypox, if it broke out in Nairobi, if it breaks out in the edges of the borders, that's a different story. But
Mhm.
if it breaks out in the heart of Nairobi, maybe in the CBD, there'll still be no preparedness. We'll have to wait for the West to come with their aeroplanes and save us. And that's how I think that's how it's always going to be.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel the issue with these viruses now is that they are bringing they are putting their vultures, guys waiting for the bad situation to happen so that they can profit from it. Like a situation like monkeypox, it's already sending signals to, let's say, drug manufacturers, equipment manufacturer to always. Right now, I feel like we are walking through on a road because you never know even who can unleash this virus. Sometimes it's not even the animal. That's what I was saying. Even some companies might have an agenda. Yeah. So I feel like we are in a it's a very trippy world.
We're in a world where profit matters more than people's
Yeah,
lives.
more than people lives. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you. I feel
Yeah,
like.
I think we can end it there.
Yeah. So guys, you can share and subscribe, and also like, and also engage us in the comments. Thank you for giving us your time. See you later.
Okay, see you later, guys.
Cheers.